Hi everyone, welcome to FOREX Trading EMPIRE YouTube channel. In this video, I'll be doing a review on a live top-down analysis. Before I start, make sure to like and subscribe to the YouTube channel. So on the last live top-down analysis we did on Monday, I talked about the major currency pair I'll be paying attention to, which is the dollar index. Because I told you guys about correlation that if you were to pick one currency to analyze for the week to give you a clear perspective on where most major markets will be trading to would be the dollar market, should be the DXY. So on the DXY last week, I talked about price trading to fill in this fair value gap. My first bias was to see a run through this fair value gap. I was looking for price to trade through the fair value gap, which was on Monday. On Tuesday, price filled the fair value gap. I told you guys that if price were to fill the fair value gap, I will look at it as a support area to look for higher prices for price to go to the buy side liquidity. So last week, Monday, price were expected the new week opening gap, closed inside the new week opening gap. Tuesday, price traded through. Wednesday, retracement back to the fair value gap. On Tuesday, price did a consolidation on Tuesday. There wasn't much of a move on Thursday. Then on Friday, price traded lower, took out Wednesday low, came back to this fair value gap, traded to this high. Now I'm looking at this fair value gap as an inversion fair value gap, but inside the inversion fair value gap, you can see that there is a fair value gap, and I'm still bullish on anticipating higher prices for price to go for the buy side liquidity. So going into the 1 hour time frame, I'll be depicting the days where you'll be taking advantage of this setup, knowing the idea of you anticipating price to fill in this fair value gap, because I'm looking for price to support the daily fair value gap and this new week opening gap from price retracing lower to this daily fair value gap. Looking for it as a support area. Showed you guys that I'm looking for it as a support area, and I want to see price trade through this fair value gaps, and I want to see the buy side liquidity to be the next draw on liquidity. On the 1 hour time frame of the dollar index, on Monday, price filled in the new week opening gap, trading lower, came back to this other block, respected the other block. Now, this should have been your first entry, and your stop should be at the swing low, anticipating a fill of this fair value gap. Now, price traded higher with an internal shift, retracement, 1 hour fair value gap, respected the 1 hour fair value gap, created a new swing high. Now, this was when this is when we started the live stream, telling you guys that I want to see a trade above the new week opening gap. Then it's a good area for you to look for a buy from a 1 hour point of interest. Price traded through the new week opening gap, retracement, 1 hour fair value gap. Now, this should be your last entry before a complete run to fill in the daily fair value gap. But before price traded through the new week opening gap, you can see price still kept this trend going, not running out the swing lows, taking out the swing high. This is a strong buy scenario, telling you that there's a strong buy coming up. And we know that price is only slowing down because of time destruction, trying to trade above the new week opening gap. After trading above the new week opening gap, trading to the first quadrant of the fair value gap, retracement, 1 hour fair value gap, respected the 1 hour fair value gap, traded to the mid range of the fair value gap, retracement against this other block. Now, this is a 30 minutes and a 15-minute order block, and it was on Tuesday, because on Tuesday, during the London section, price was at a 15 minutes and a 30-minute order block, which is this order block. Respected it anticipating higher prices. Tuesday was a good day to look for higher prices because it's fully aligned with your higher time frame perspective. Price traded higher to the last quadrant of the fair value gap before leading to a complete fill. On Wednesday, during the London section, price did a complete fill, took out Tuesday's high, and filled in the other block, the fair value gap. Price filled in the fair value gap, sorry. Retracement back to the range, back to the fair value gap. Now, this should be a support area, just like a quick retest back to the fair value gap to use it as an inversion fair value gap. But there should be a buy scenario going to the next day, which was on Thursday. On Thursday, price kept trading higher, took out Wednesday's high. Now, this should be the ending point for your buy when you are using an intraday setup. You're using an intraday setup or you're using a scalping setup like the 5 minute entry model. Whenever the 1 hour is ready to expand, which is a good example, retracement back to the daily fair value gap, a good example for the 1 hour to expand to take out this high, which is Wednesday high. Looking for a continuation to that high, we can see how price kept trading higher, took out the high before the Thursday consolidation. On Friday, price came back, traded to the daily fair value gap, respected it, another entry. But going next week, I would like to see price go for this high and run out this equal high liquidity. Do you want to see higher prices? Because I'm looking to see the daily fair value gap act as a support in price. Now, do your own personal study on how you should have taken advantage of this setup, knowing that if price were to trade to fill in this fair value gap. On the daily time frame of EuroUSD, now I talked about correlation on the live analysis. I talked about you need to understand correlation when you plan to trade major pairs and you're trying to trade the forex market. Understanding correlation is one of your biggest advantage in price. Now, if we are anticipating higher prices on the dollar index, which means we'll be anticipating lower prices on Euro USD. And last week, Friday, price respected the mid-range of this order block, retraced back to this range. And there's no inversion fair value gap to look at the support area for price to trade higher. So I told you guys I was still anticipating lower prices to fill in this fair value gap, just how I was anticipating higher prices to fill in the dollar index fair value gap. So on Monday, price respected the new week opening gap, traded lower, continuation. We want to see a complete fill. On Tuesday, price filled in the fair value gap. Retracement back to the fair value gap. Now, price did form another fair value gap when trading through the fair value gap, the daily fair value gap. Price formed another daily fair value gap. Looking at this fair value gap as a resistance area for price to trade lower, fill through this other block. I want to see price feed through this other block and go for the equal low, which is the sell side liquidity. On Tuesday, after a run through, this is where you mostly want to be focusing on into this setup. So you want to focus on those low hanging fruit days where the 1 hour is ready to expand, like a retracement back to the fair value gap, which is now an inversion fair value gap. You want to look at it as a resistance area for you to look for lower prices, and your target should be Tuesday's low, low hanging fruit, 1 hour swing lows. On the 1 hour time frame, on Monday, price traded through the new week opening gap. Now, all the entries on Euro USD, I posted all the entries level before price even filled in this fair value gap. I posted it before price filled in this fair value gap, showing you guys the areas where I'm looking for an entry. I posted all the entry levels in the YouTube community. I was trying to show you guys what those subscribed traders are taking advantage in my own personal signal group. In my own personal signal group, we have took advantage of the setup, filling in this daily fair value gap. I posted it beforehand just to show you guys the advantage you'll be getting in being in the signal group. It's going to give you an early access to my information and all my setups. So I talked about price trading lower to fill in this fair value gap after I see a trade through this new week opening gap. Price traded through this new week opening gap. The first entry was this order block. Now, if I were to go more aggressive, I'll be using this order block. But I told you guys that just to wait for more confirmation, I want to see price go below the new week opening gap before taking any entry. So price traded below the new week opening gap, retracement back to this order block, took a sell, stop at this high. Or you can put your stop above this fair value gap just to be at the safe side if price were to fill in this new week opening gap and were to go back to the first order block. But price respected the other block, traded lower, created a new order block. I still posted this same setup before price traded to the other block in the YouTube community. So if you want to have access to updates on where I'm looking for price to trade to, you should pay attention to the YouTube community where I'll be dropping a little hint on what I'm looking for and where I'm anticipating price to trade to. But if you want full access to all my trades, then you should hit me up directly in my Telegram DM, which the link is linked in the description to have full access to all my trades setups. Retracement back to the other block, respected the other block, traded through the fair value gap. Now, this was on Tuesday when price retraces back to the 1 hour fair value gap. Is a re-entry for a complete fill on the fair value gap. Price filled in the fair value gap, did a retracement, you use it as an inversion fair value gap. Now, this should be your last entry level to anticipate lower prices. Whenever price trades through a major fair value gap, always look for price to retrace. Always have that idea that if price were to retrace back to that fair value gap, price will use that fair value gap as an inversion fair value gap to go for the next draw on liquidity. Which in this example, price was reaching out to a 1 hour liquidity, which I didn't identify. But low hanging fruit in this setup is to see price take out Asian low, which this was Asian low before this retracement. So an intraday or a scalping bias on a 5 minute setup. This should be your entry to anticipate lower prices, and it was on Wednesday during the London section to run at Tuesday's low. The price traded lower, took out Tuesday's low, created a new swing low. Price already used the fair value gap as an inversion fair value gap, trading lower. Price retraced back to the fair value gap. I was looking for price to form another fair value gap inside the fair value gap. Now, that have been one of the major reasons for you to have more experience in price action. Watch through price, watch as our price prints out to look for those key futures to save you from taking unnecessary losses, which here is a good example. Retracement back to the fair value gap before the close on Friday. Now, on Friday, CPI news did push price above the new daily fair value gap. The price did not close outside the new fair value gap. It traded back to the range and closed. Going into next week, I'd like to see price trade lower, take out this slightly equal low, but close to an equal low. But want to see a run on this lows if price was to keep on trading lower. But if price was to keep on trading higher, will be explained on Monday live stream. So Thursday, price did the consolidation. Tuesday, price took out Thursday's high, took out Wednesday high, traded the daily fair value gap. On the daily time frame of GBPUSD, now GBPUSD is still the same to EuroUSD when it comes to the correlation on how they are correlated to the dollar index. GBPUSD, if you are still anticipating higher prices on the dollar index, which means you'll be anticipating lower prices on GBPUSD. So in GBPUSD on Friday, price respected the same order block like the same order block on Hero USD. Price respects the same order block, traded to the high quadrant, but respected it, traded lower. Back outside the order block, price closed still inside the order block, but on Monday, price traded through the new week opening gap, a clear indication of a sell, anticipating price to trade to where? To fill in the daily fair value gap. then anticipate more lower prices if prices will keep on trading lower, which I will explain on how I kept looking for sell because price used the daily fair value gap as an inversion fair value gap on the 1 hour time frame, which was easy to depict out of the setup. Traded through on Tuesday, price traded to the mid range. Wednesday, complete fill, traded lower, took out last week Wednesday's low. Price the retracement back to the daily fair value gap. We use it as an inversion fair value gap, traded lower on Thursday. On Friday, price retraced back to that high, but respected the 1 hour order block before trading lower before the close of the week. Next drawn liquidity going to next week is to see price trade to the sell side liquidity because clearly you can see the price is using this daily fair value gap as an inversion fair value gap. On the 1 hour time frame, still the same idea. I want to see price trade through this new week opening gap. Price trade through the new week opening gap retracement order block, first entry. Price respected the 1 hour fair value gap with the other block, and you can see the price did not even close above the new week opening gap. Price stayed inside the new week opening gap, traded lower, formed a new swing low, retracement, order block, respected the other block, which you can see, respected the other block, traded lower. Now, this price action was on Monday, trading below the new week opening gap. On Tuesday, price traded lower, kept trading to the mid range of the fair value gap. Wednesday, during the London section, traded lower through the fair value gap. Retrace to the fair value gap uses as an inversion fair value gap, but we're expecting this 1 hour for the block. Now, for those that have been following the community, you know that I posted the setup even before price did the retracement, even close to the other block. As soon as I saw it swing low, anticipating lower prices was to see price retrace to use this as an inversion fair value gap. How far is price going to use it as trade deep into it to use as an inversion fair value gap? I was looking at the other block as the last line. If price were to trade and respect the fair value gap as an inversion fair value gap to trade lower. Price trade to the other block, respected the other block, kept trading lower, took out Wednesday low on Friday. CPI news traded back to the daily fair value gap. Still use the daily fair value gap as an inversion fair value gap to trade lower. Which, if you're to follow the community, you know that I'm still in a sell, still looking for lower prices. Already took most of the position off, just looking to see if I can catch a runner trading lower. So, looking at this price action, you can clearly see how it's easy to pick out your entry levels if you're to use a fair value gap or to use an order block, whatever point of interest you choose to use from the higher time frame perspective is quite doesn't matter unless you have a bias. So the only way for those entry levels to work is when you have a bias. When you have a bias, you can use either the fair value gap or another block. Most traders have asked me on what point of interest or what area do I focus on, what POI I look at to as an entry level. It depends on what I'm currently looking at price, but in most cases, I use the fair value gap and another block. If I'm looking for more retracement into that area, I will look to enter at the other block. But at the same time, I'm paying attention to the fair value gap. If prices were expecting the fair value gap, I'll be using the market execution where price already formed a swing high or a swing low inside the fair value gap. Just like the first example where price traded through the new week opening gap. For those in the Signal group, saw the setup when I posted it, telling you guys to sell, stop at the high of the swing high that price formed inside the 1 hour fair value gap. Looking for lower prices, our first target before taking half of the position is to see price trade to the mid range of the daily order block. sorry, the daily fair value gap, and our complete target is to see a complete fill of the fair value gap. Second entry was to see price retrace to this other block, took a sell. This was a limit order for us to take a sell from this other block. And first target was to see price trade to this other block. Price to trade to the mid-range of this 1 hour order block, we should close half of the position, which was or was explained in the signal group. Full target is to see price trade lower. So the full target mostly I did pointed out that I'm looking for price to trade lower, that I'm trying to use this setup as a running setup to hold for maybe even more than a week, which currently is now more than a week going into next week because I'm still looking for the dollar index to trade higher. So there's a high chances of price using this fair value gap as an inversion fair value gap trading lower. Taking half of the position, moving stop to break even is locking most of the profits, which I already taking out most of the profits going into next week. Which the setup is this setup, and the first setup we took was this setup. And all the setup was posted in the signal group beforehand. Now, my overall target is to see price take out the sell side liquidity, which we're currently holding this trade. There's a daily time frame of USDJPY. Now, when it comes to correlation, whenever you are anticipating higher prices on the dollar index, then you should be anticipating higher prices on the USD JPY because they are correlating pair that trade to the same direction whenever they are correlated. And there might be some cases where they are not moving in the same correlation where they are diverting to different direction. But in most cases, when it comes to trading and taking account of correlation, whenever the dollar index is trading higher, then you should look at the USD JPY to trade higher. So if the USD JPY is ready to trade higher by mostly focusing on the daily POIs, the daily point of interest, running out a sell side liquidity, trading to a daily order block or daily fair value gap or a daily new week opening gap or an order block, which in this example, price retraced to the daily order block. Thread to the new week opening gap, which price did not fill in this new week opening gap, is fully open. Retracement. Price respected it on Friday, traded higher. Looking for higher prices to fill in the daily fair value gap. Price filled in this daily fair value gap before the live class or the live section last week, Monday. I was anticipating a continuation for price to respect it to use it as an inversion fair value gap to trade higher to fill in this fair value gap. So we're looking for price to fill in this fair value gap, but our overall target was to see price trade to the buy side liquidity. When I took my entry when price was around 2R to 3R, I posted the remaining setup telling you guys that I'm looking for higher prices to go to the buy side liquidity in the YouTube community. I gave it out as a free trade idea. I didn't pick it out for you guys to buy. I only told you guys, show you guys the entry level, showed you guys my trade position for price to trade to the buy side liquidity. The point is that I'm only giving a hint on where I'm looking for price to trade to. Taking advantage of those setups is going to be on your own personal risks. But in the signal group, I gave the full trade idea on my target, my stop, and my take profits before the overall take profit at the buy side liquidity. So on Tuesday, price traded through the fair value gap. Wednesday, retracement to the fair value gap, respected the fair value gap. This was another good point for you to look for an entry into these setups, scalping setup. Thursday, trade to our buyers. Friday, consolidation. Mostly, I wouldn't be trading on Friday, mostly when Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday have been in an uptrend. Have been on the same trend, leading to a major liquidity, which is the buy side liquidity. In most cases, Friday we trade back to the weekly range before the close of that week. On the 1 hour time frame of USDJPY, first on Monday before London section, price traded through the daily fair value gap. I was looking for price to use the daily fair value gap as an inversion fair value gap, paying attention to a 1 hour point of interest, which my entry was at this order block. Looking for price to respect it to trade to the daily fair value gap above price. Price respected the other block but came back, took me out by 1 week. I was stopped out by 1 week for a retracement back to the daily fair value gap before trading to this high. I was stopped out but took a re-entry after New York section when price traded above the daily fair value gap. After I trade above the daily fair value gap, retracement to this 1 hour fair value gap entry. This was the entry I posted in the YouTube community, telling you guys my next draw on liquidity is to see price go for the buy side liquidity. Price traded higher, traded through the mid range of the daily fair value gap on Tuesday. Retracement back to a 30-minute order block, respected the 30-minute order block, did a complete fill of the daily order block. Retracement as an inversion fair value gap, price retrace to the 1 hour fair value gap, respected it on Wednesday, shift in structure, another re-entry at the 1 hour fair value gap. Price respected it before trading to the overall bias. Trading to the overall bias, you might see a retracement back to the weekly range. Price used the CPI to do the retracement back to the weekly range, taking out the sell side liquidity. I wasn't looking for a buy. I was still waiting for Friday manipulation before next week if I were to keep on looking for higher prices. But I need to see price respect a daily point of interest before going in to look for higher prices. So the setup that was posted in the YouTube community, you can check the YouTube community through the YouTube channel. There's a community attached to every YouTube channel, which ours I posted this setup. Respected it. Overall target is to see price trade to the high. Re-entry using as an inversion fair value gap. Stop should be below the daily fair value gap. The most safest stop is to put it at the 1 hour, below the 1 hour fair value gap. Re-entry at the 1 hour fair value gap. Stop at the swing low, and the target should be the daily swing high. This should be your setup. Remember, if you want early access to all these trades idea, then you should be involved in, you should be a member of my own personal signal group to have access to all this trade idea going in next week and furthermore. So that is it for this video. Make sure to like and subscribe. See you guys in the next video.